Welcome into this episode of Bare Bones. As always, I am Mason West, and joining me today, we got the full trifecta for y'all. We got Khari Thompson, we got Danny Meehan. How are y'all doing today?
Doing wonderfully, Dr. Mason and Danny Meehan.
Hey, that's me, and he's the doctor. That's how that works.
I love that you just pointed at Khari, but that's
Look,
fine.
I was about to.
I can't. I don't
about
know,
to-
man. It's a camera. Everything's turned around. There's a reason I have to run into things set on fire for a living, not things that require, intelligence.
Look, you said it, not me, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Hey,
Luckily-
someone's got to do it. Why not me?
Luckily, we don't have to know our left from our rights besides what side of the line we're talking about on the offense or defense side.
Honestly, it's I've learned now how things are inverted. Where like this is apparently the right side of my head. I always got to know that when I got to fix my hair on the pod.
See? It's not just me.
I just go slowly with one arm until I see which one it is, and then I adjust as needed. But yeah, we are here to preview the Rams game coming up this Sunday at Soldier Field, back at home. Popping into a couple of notes here first. Bears signed tight end Steven Carlson a couple of days ago as the active roster and added tight end Tegan Quitterino to the practice squad. And you're changing the tight end room a little bit.
I am a fan of Tegan Quitteriano's films. Big fan. Reservoir Dogs, Django Unchained. Yeah. Can I get a bag?
There you go. It took me a little bit to scroll down to it. To really quickly have to highlight this. Quentin, fan of the podcast, friend of the podcast, asked us, so the Bears should start tanking, right? I mean, that's where we're at basically with seeing how Jaden Daniels is outperforming Caleb Williams. Justin Fields, obviously better quarterback than Caleb. Caleb's a bust, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. Abandon all hope.
Burn it to the ground, try again, throw Caleb in the garbage along with everyone else.
Trade back for Justin Fields.
One thing that maybe there is to worry about this week, right? You had Matt Eberflus, Caleb, and obviously all the coordinators talking. So there's a couple of quotes pulled that we just want to reflect on going into this week. Matt Eberflus said about the offensive line, "We are looking for the best five. You don't want to play musical chairs." Khari, what does that mean to you going into this week?
You want this one?
It was more just your facial expression. That's why I'm giggling. Like, what is the best five? Is it out of the dumpster? Like, I don't know.
I mean, look, I feel like at this point, I get it. It's just like a normal thing that people say, but it's like, yeah, no kidding. You want to find the best five. Like, what have we been doing this entire time? But then again, I think you could arguably say you weren't putting your best five on the field from the beginning because Nate Davis was out there and he's trash. So, but I mean, the real question here is can you upgrade meaningfully from that?
And will you call plays that actually fit your line's strength? At this point, you really probably shouldn't be doing much zone. They're not good at it at all. And at least, like, if you're going to trot, like, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but if you're going to do the Ryan Bates thing at center, which I think is going to inevitably be the case, because I don't think you can keep trotting Coleman Shelton out there to center to get blown backwards onto his ass anymore. Like,
sometimes he falls on his face.
Him and Tevins have been on the ground a lot lately. Like, why is everyone on the grass? Like, what is happening?
I gotta say, you just sounded like literally the most Chicago I think I've ever heard you on the show right there.
I have to answer your question, Danny. I have to think that when you aren't sure, when you can't operate at full speed, when your eyes and your body are trying to basically do two different things, it's a lot easier to get out of sorts and end up potentially on your ass, as you put it. And I think part of the thing with Tevin is because he isn't unhealthy right now. That's always been his thing. But if you're unsure of where you're going, you're unsure of, where your help's going to be, if there's going to be help, from your center, from your tackle, et cetera. And I'm leaning into the scheme conversation at this point. It's a lot easier all of a sudden to end up off base and on your ass.
Sure.
Now,
the other thing with Tevin, go ahead. I was just going to ask from two guys that have also, played athletics at differing levels, whatever. Does anyone think that Tevin might be playing to protect himself, get to that payday, as it were?
I mean,
I can't help but think about it because this isn't the same guy. This isn't the mauling, I'm going to push you through the freaking field that we saw last year.
So, okay, my thought on that is, I think scheme-wise, I would say that the strength of Tevin Jenkins wouldn't necessarily be an outside zone finesse sort of thing anyway. I get why they
lean on that, yeah.
I get why they want to do this in terms of like where Waldron came from and what his
kind of whole NFL was doing.
Exactly. Everybody wants to do this. Everybody wants to get outside and let your running backs cut back, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll tell you what I think might help fix these issues. Instead of trying to get outside zones, zone anything, how about everybody go that way? Everyone goes
listening to the podcast. He's just pointing forward, just so you know.
Way.
Go north and south. Run gap.
Which would lead into what Kevin Jenkins
duo
does well.
Is like your pseudo. Duo is like your pseudo zone. Over and over and over again. Because particularly if you're talking about as we're seeing that Roschon Johnson might have a bigger role. You know what Roschon Johnson's really good at? That way.
Roschon's got the old I used it to describe Mo Ibrahim coming out of Minnesota too, where it's like coach says go this way, so I go this way.
Yeah, and that would lead into what Tevin does well, what Matt Pryor at this point, who's currently your starting guard, does well, because Matt Pryor is not fleet of foot. He can't do what Nate Davis was able to do.
Move,
so just go forward.
That way.
And that's what offensive linemen want to do anyway. Bring the attack to the defensive lineman. They don't want to sit back and engage with you and let you have the first punch.
The Marshawn Lynch quote from back in the day, is just like, if you won't run through somebody's face over and over and over and over again, you don't want to take that. And there are a couple things. I've said this on like every podcast, I feel like, ever since I heard it. But this quote from Matt Forte on Twitter, where he's basically, look, shotgun runs and short yardage situations are for elite offensive lines. The Chicago Bears do not have an elite offensive line. You know what they kind of do have, at least at your guard spots? Giant dudes. And on a right tackle, they have a really mean giant dude. So I think we talked about this a bit last week, Mason, where we don't know what this offense is. We don't know what it's good at. We don't know what the identity is. I can tell you that it wasn't supposed to be Caleb Williams throwing the ball 52 times last week. So you know what you need to do when you don't know what you're good at. Try to do the most basic thing in the world and run the damn football right at your opponent, especially a team that can't stop the run.
So to parlay off that, one of the other quotes I pulled, and Danny, I'll have you answer this one. Bears offensive coordinator Shane Waldron said today, for our running backs, every running back has different styles. They're not all going to be the exact styles. We want to embrace that. So knowing that, and knowing that so far you have not run the ball in an outside zone scheme well, and knowing the players that you have on your offensive line, and hearing that Roschon Johnson should be getting a bulk, potentially more carries, we don't know exactly what that proportion might be. What does that lead you to believe this week would look like in terms of those different styles of runners?
I feel like it's going to be the overcorrection, right? They're really going to try to embrace the gap, the north-south, the duo thing, because they ran it a handful of times last week, and it was probably their more successful runs. They still weren't great at it. Like, what was it? Roschon averaged 3.8 yards a carry, and it just felt awesome because DeAndre Swift is too busy trying to bounce everything like he's Saquon Barkley or something.
I was curious who the comparison was going to be there.
Swift, I think it's like 1.8 yards per something ghastly.
And granted, when you're doing the outside zone thing, you leave room for the freestyling of running backs to use their vision and make something happen. I've always liked DeAndre Swift, but it's one of those things when you don't see them on a week-to-week basis and you don't experience it every day or every game, I guess it falls deaf on you until you do. And he doesn't have good field vision. He's got awful field vision. Or he's just he's picking wrong. I'm not sure if it's an instinctual thing or just doesn't recognize the thing. He's just not good at it. But I don't know what the answer is because I've said it on the show. I said it leading into this season. My biggest concern was the offensive line. That was when they were healthy. Now they're all banged up. Yeah. There is no magical system that makes your offensive line not suck. Yeah. And they suck. And your best players have gotten worse.
Hey, not according to Ben Baldwin, though. Ben Baldwin says the Chicago Bears have a pretty decent offensive line.
Oh, my God. So, because now that you brought it up, we have to now talk about this a bit, at least a little bit. Khari's referring to Ben Baldwin, who tweeted out today from his account, whatever cowboy status ridiculous thing that is. Yeah, that one. That basically highlighting and showing the statistics that the Bears offensive line, based on the numbers that is in his spreadsheets, are at least average. And then alluding to the fact that the struggles of the Bears are more so on the shoulders of Caleb Williams. What he's forgetting is the nuance of those numbers and all the other factors.
And he's also the sample size guy. He hates not using a lot large sample sizes, and here he is picking a 3-game sample. It flies in the face of his very argument.
But I think this is where the Chicago Bears part of this comes in. I think that there's a segment, and I don't necessarily always want to be like, oh, everybody hates us, but I think it is fashionable and funny to make fun of the Chicago Bears for never having a quarterback.
And I would also, I'm curious, if you actually polled, 10 random NFL fans of other teams, not in the NFC North, just let's say other teams, what is their perspective of the Chicago Bears and Chicago Bears fans? I would imagine that most of it would be unflattering.
I mean, Khari could probably speak to that better than we can. We kind of live in the echo chamber, Mason. We can't really.
So when the Bears are on the schedule for the Patriots, and it's Bears week in Patriots land, what is the general vibe usually?
Free W.
So here's what I'm gonna say. I think, since this has really only been a thing for twice since I've been out here. It was 2018 and then 2022. I wasn't really talking to anybody that much in 2018 out here. I was rather sequestered. But in 2022, it was totally like we're playing the Bears. Like, oh, this is gonna be a walk in the park. Obviously, it wasn't, because that was literally the funniest game I've ever been a part of in so many ways. But yeah, the Patriots were absolutely expecting to stomp on the Bears. Right now, I do get a lot of people asking me, because they know where I'm from. They know what team I rep. So a lot of people ask me, so what do you think about Caleb Williams? Someone was like, yeah, I got him, I'm on my fantasy team. Should I start him? And stuff. People know about Caleb Williams. People know that he's supposed to be good. But I think the general consensus when you talk outside Bears fan, it's not, does Caleb Williams suck? It's, are the Bears going to ruin Caleb Williams? That's the reputation that people that are working under, or those are the assumptions people are working under, because the Bears, when it comes to quarterbacks, feel cursed to everyone. I guess obviously feels cursed to us, but other people are catching up on this because they're like, dude, Caleb Williams is number 1 pick. He's supposed to be really good. And I keep seeing his highlights and all that stuff. So it's why are they still losing?
So I guess the question I want to pose to you two as my co-hosts on this, then, isn't it deserved? Isn't all the thought processes of, are they going to ruin him?
Yes.
Are they? It's all earned and deserved.
It is. Right. And real quick to that point, again, 3-game sample size.
Right. Exactly.
This could totally go left.
And if you're watching, it's clear Caleb's getting better over the first 3 weeks. This isn't like this isn't like the Mitch thing where you had to squint and see it. Or, and as much as I love Justin and I'm happy that he's doing well in Pittsburgh, this isn't the other thing where it's like you're like basing this on the athletic gravity that was Justin Fields. Like you could just feel how athletic he was and like the gravitational pull that has because he exists on the field, right? That's what so much of the Justin Fields thing was. And it's like you physically can see him getting better, getting through his reads and getting to his progressions and making plays and seeing the game almost slow down for him in real time.
Yeah, I think it's easy to watch Caleb Williams and see that he is going to be in pretty short order. I mean, there are some people who debate this now. I don't want to do it after 3 games, but in pretty short order, like this guy is going to be a far superior passer to anything that we've seen in Chicago in a really long time. Like that feels like that's going to be very easy. But I bring up the 3-game sample size to actually talk about Fields really quickly because
okay, we cannot do this. We
no,
are not making this.
I'm not going to talk about his actual play. What I'm going to talk about is the fact that he was just on a podcast. He was just on a podcast,
okay,
where somebody asked him about, do you prefer the Pittsburgh Steelers coaching or the Bears coaching? He said Steelers by a mile, and that's what I'm getting at here. It's not about like, oh yeah, should they have kept? No. I don't care about any of that. We're done with that discussion. That's not a thing. But that's the other thing people are talking about, right? Is that like this dude left Chicago and is having success, while the guy who is going to be better than him in Chicago is struggling because the situation still sucks.
It's not great. One last quote we got to get to before we're moving on is Shane Waldron was asked about DeAndre Carter being tasked to block an offensive lineman. You each get one non-run-on sentence to give your impression on this quote. Shane Waldron said, "We can do better job. DeAndre will do anything asked of him. That's one of those moments we can do better." Danny.
Maybe don't have the diminutive wide receiver as the primary blocking assignment on a lineman. This isn't hard. Like, I don't want to get into it. It's a stupid play call or stupid result of how it ended up. It didn't need to be that way. Period.
Sorry.
Reminds me of when the Ravens tried to have Justice Hill blocking Chris Jones in week 1, except that Justice Hill actually did it, but don't do that stuff, man. It seems like a guy who's throwing stuff at the wall because he doesn't have any answers.
Don't be dumb. Training room roundup. This is where we discuss the current injury report for both teams. A lot of stuff popped up today. So I'll highlight the new things first. Kevin Byard popped up with back. You also have Andrew Billings popped up. Well, he was with a DNP today. That's a big change from limited from yesterday. Blasingame was actually limited this week. That's a bit different. Rome came on the injury report today with a hip limited. And then, we don't have to talk about, but that's really like the new ones that we need to discuss. And also let's highlight Donald Wright went from not participating yesterday to a limited participant today. Danny, what are your thoughts in terms of some of the newer shifts on this injury report?
I'm not really thinking much of it. Kevin Byard is going to play until he doesn't. Like the guy is, like by very definition, like football Iron Man. Like he just keeps playing. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's probably more precautionary that he's listed and didn't practice more than anything is my guess. But nothing really jumps out at me other than the Keenan Allen practicing. That's big because it's clear based off the week 1 game plan how much he means to that passing offense and how they want this thing to be designed. So I think him coming back obviously matters. Yeah, and so Darnell Wright playing because he's probably your best lineman.
Khari, any thoughts on some of the shifts between yesterday and today?
I really want to see Darnell Wright on the field. I think that if he is capable of doing it at all, please give it a go. I don't want to see how bad this can get on the offensive line. Byard, I feel like would be a loss, but not fatal.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the Darrell Taylor thing is interesting because I think he might be their second best pass rusher kind of thing.
I think right now it's mainly just the illness holding him out, so I wouldn't be too worried about that.
Okay, see, all right, then yeah, nothing else really stands out to me like that's like super meaningful. Andrew Billings might be their most impactful lineman, not named Sweat overall, so that would suck. But I think he's probably going to play until otherwise stated.
Yeah, it's what Khari said. I'd feel if for some reason Byard couldn't go, which as Danny said, I think he will. But I'm comfortable with Jonathan Owens stepping in there and having to play safety for a game, especially like against these receivers that they're going to be rolling out there this week for the Rams. The one that I did want to touch on that you guys didn't, well, I guess two. If you haven't, I have a little thread on Darnell Wright. Go check that out. I tweeted out yesterday, whatever. So check that out just in terms of kind of what he's been dealing with or what I believe he's been dealing with since the summer. I think the Billings one could be big, going from limited to did not participate. That could also just be hey, obviously take today off. But if he cannot go, that's big. A lot of people don't realize how much 3 technique he's been playing. A lot of people don't realize how impactful he has been in terms of not just stopping the run, which is what he would be known for, but also the pass rush. And this Rams team, and we're going to get into this, is more of a running team at this stage with what they have. So not having him in the middle would be a big loss, and that's one of the reasons why they went out, right? And they signed Bell today to their practice squad because they need depth at this point if Billings can't go.
I do apologize if you hear any yelling in the background. My wife is playing with my daughter.
How dare your family have fun? Right, and that's
especially after Brookfield Zoo. You already had your fun today.
Hey,
did you go to see the koala?
We're going to the zoo tomorrow. So
did you see the koala?
No, we went specifically.
Koala?
See, here's the thing.
It's
I was going to ask
content.
It sucks, man. You wait in this line because everyone's excited about these koalas, which I was super pumped. My wife is super pumped. We actually have a weekend pass, or not weekend. We have a summer year pass.
We have a year pass too. Yeah. That's why we just wanted to go to the monkeys today.
And then you walk in, and it's the first thing you see, and it's just like it's sitting in the tree, which is great, but it's like it's not a great exhibit. They didn't do a good job of setting them up well. And then there's nothing else really in that area. It's just like learning center. If you have really small kids, it's fine, but like anything above 8, and you guys are be disappointed. Don't do the koala. The gorillas area is awesome though. I love Brookfield's gorilla area.
I always like seeing the polar bear because you don't understand how menacingly large these things are. This thing came swimming right through in front of the glass, and it's like, yep, I'm tiny.
Yep, largest land mammal in existence. Well, yeah, land mammal. Yeah,
land mammal. Yes, you are correct.
These are the facts that you came here for. Brookfield Zoo, sponsor us. All right, quick break here. We're going to talk about kombucha.
Proper gut health is instrumental to athletic performance and recovery. Our gut is in essence a second brain, and health researchers are continually uncovering new benefits of probiotics, scientifically connecting the dots between gut health, reduced inflammation, and stronger immunity. Kombucha is a tasty, clean label, functional option to easily add probiotics into any athlete's routine. We call it balancing your brains.
Kombucha is a premium, performance-focused kombucha crafted specifically for athletes and active individuals. This revitalizing beverage blends the traditional benefits of kombucha with nutritional enhancements to support energy, hydration, and recovery. It's made from organic teas and infused with natural electrolytes. Kombucha offers a delicious and effective solution to maintain peak performance. Better athletic performance, increased nutrient absorption, improved wellness, and improved cognitive stamina. Use code BEARGUTCHECK. You can go kombucha.com. If you look up on Twitter, I've posted it a bunch in terms of a link that you can click. Go ahead. Help yourself, help the channel, help the pod, all that beautiful stuff. Next up is our knee-jerk reaction. This is one hot take going into next week. Khari, what do you got?
I think the Bears are – well, okay. I think Caleb Williams is definitely not going to repeat the 360 whatever yard performance, but I think he's going to play turnover-free football, and the Bears are going to run the hell out of the football. I'm talking like 30 carries.
But that is bold considering because at the current clip they're going, that means they're going to have like 10 yards of offense if they have 30 carries.
Yeah, well, DeAndre Swift's not going to be getting that many of those carries.
Danny, what do you got?
I think Montez Sweat and those boys up front could make Matthew Stafford's life very, very hard, very, very long. Because, and this is coming, I think Stafford's probably one of the 4 or 5 best quarterbacks doing it right now. But the line is beat up. He's throwing to guys like Tutu Atwell and DeMarcus Walker. Not DeMarcus Walker, DeMarcus
Robinson.
Getting my DeMarcuses mixed up.
Wow. Racist.
Oh, for the love of God. Stop that. That's a damning thing to put on a podcast. All right. But I just think that they could. Stafford's going to get his numbers. He's going to put up his yardage. And that's especially his pairing with Sean McVay. But I think that my initial reaction is that you're going to see I think Montez Sweat's going to get home. And I think you're going to see just the bodies that they're going to throw out there just continuing to make Stafford's life hard and putting him under duress.
I think those are both valid. Mine is that I don't think Caleb's decision-making, which has kind of been called into question with a couple of the interceptions that he throw, I think is being overblown, and Bears fans need to appreciate what they have. Jacob Infante tweeted out, despite throwing 2 interceptions, Caleb Williams was top 10 in lowest turnover-worthy throw percentage in week 3 at 1.6%. You can call it unlucky if you want, but Caleb's decision-making concerns are widely exaggerated. And with 143 yards against the Rams, Caleb Williams would enter the top 10 in Bears rookie season passing yards after just 4 games. Yeah. So when you kind of combine that, right now, Bears fans, you're being ridiculous and don't appreciate what you have. He is a confident quarterback that is testing windows, and there's been a couple of interceptions that were not great, and there's been some that, you know what, bad luck at the bounce. So chill out.
And this is the one thing. Okay.
I don't agree with a non-turnover worthy play on, especially the first one. I think both the throws got picked off because they were late. But again, it's like, I don't think that this is going to be a huge problem for him going forward. You just got to learn that, you can't throw late to the sideline in the NFL. That's you'll get picked off. That's really it to me. So I'm not concerned about that.
I think Kyrie's point is valid. I also would like to just point out, I feel like this is like a broken record thing as a Bears fan. I get that was a hard throw to Rome, and yes, it was late to the sideline on that interception that was tipped into the player's hands. At a certain point, you also have to expect your playmakers to make plays. Like, catch the football. Squeeze it. It's like, yes, it was late. 2 things can be true. It can be a late pass to the sideline. It could also be a catch that should be made.
Yeah, or at a minimum, a catch attempt that pulls the ball more out of harm's way, too. It shouldn't be popping up in the air like it did. That's even a layer like that. To be perfectly honest, this is something brutally honest we have going into the week. Mine is that I think the Bears team may have a damn good passing day if they can give Caleb a smidge more protection. The reason I say that, Jordan Rodriguez, who covers the Rams and also has a bunch of really cool series on The Athletic, you should check that out because I think it's awesome, tweeted this out. Sean McVay joked that the last play yesterday might be skewing their explosive passing plays allowed, but removing that, Rams are tied for 4th most allowed through 3 weeks, 15, with 12 completions of 20-plus yards. They are getting initial pressure, but QBs working out of structure, something Caleb's good at, and creating downfield is one of the multiple reasons here. 11 of the 15 of those explosive plays were just over the last 2 weeks per True Media. Rush and coverage go together. I think we have to do a good job of rushing with integrity, not allowing some of these plays to extend. Some of them are individual. And to add a little more context, Next Gen has the Rams getting pressure at a 38.9% rate, which is the 7th highest in the NFL. But 4 sacks, which is tied for 3rd to last. So cleaning up the complement in the rush, particularly against quarterbacks who can throw the run, would fix that for them. They're putting pressure and getting there, but they're not finishing it. And like I said a little bit earlier, Caleb is pretty dang good at creating and extending these plays, even if he hasn't necessarily hit it consistently, or if the Bears have held and gotten penalties, which have pulled them back. Stop doing that, Coleman Shelton. It's bothering me. I hate that man right now. Khari, what is your perfectly honest thought going into this week?
That I think this is going to be the week where the Chicago Bears turn to Roschon Johnson and make him at least the 1B running back in this committee. I think that he has an opportunity to kind of take the starting job. I know they paid DeAndre Swift that money. I don't think it matters. I think they want to win. And I think that if Roschon Johnson runs well and plays well on third downs, pass protecting, catching the football, then we're going to see more of him. He's going to take over.
All right. I like it. Danny.
To this point, and I know that we're seeing some small adjustments coming from the offensive coaching staff, namely like the snap percentages at running back. To this point, I feel like we've been sold a faulty bill of goods with Shane Waldron, and I've got problems and issues, and it's got to change, man. It's got to get better.
So I don't want to go too long on this, Danny, but I would love to hear perspective because we've touched on it in some offline a little bit, but I would love to hear your full perspective because you and we did that ranking, right? Where we ranked our top offensive coordinator options going into this year. I had Shane number one. I don't think you had him on your list. You had him at 2 or 3. I can't remember. And
I think I abstained from putting him because I didn't think there was any chance that they would pay him.
That's what it was.
I think that's what it was, if memory serves.
And I'm curious on your perspective now, going with that. What is the difference between Shane Waldron in the last 3 years in Seattle versus Shane Waldron now, considering, that was a very functional Seattle offense, Geno revolution. JSN's been on record of not loving Shane Waldron. Can this answer be
2 parts, really?
Yes.
I think Canales might have been the secret sauce, number one. And we saw that happening down in Tampa. And I don't want to go too far into what could or what might happen in Carolina. He might have gotten the job a year too soon, whatever it might have been. But they bench Bryce, and all of a sudden Andy Dalton's turning back the clock and throwing for 3 touchdowns. But whatever. But the other part of it is Geno's legit. And when you have a legit quarterback, that covers up issues. We've never seen Shane Waldron with a young developing quarterback.
There it is.
And so much, and mind you, the big problem in Seattle that he could never avoid protection issues.
He also had always third down issues in Seattle too.
Yeah, and second down issues. He always had a problem with getting out of second and long. I don't know what the come to Jesus moment is that he needs. And I don't think he's bad at this. I just think he's vastly oversold from, again, we can only put so much stock into because every fan hates their defensive and offensive play caller. Every fan does. I understand that.
Unless you're a Saints fan, then you love him.
But why was nobody upset that Shane Waldron left? He averaged a top 11 DVOA his entirety of calling plays there. After he was Russ's handpicked guy, right? So clearly something's just not right there, and maybe it's just the slow to adapt thing, and maybe he's just not a good interviewer because you see him at the podium, he's clearly just not comfortable talking, he's I don't know how else to explain it, but I need the adjustments to come a little quicker, man, because otherwise you're going to get your quarterback and your players killed.
Yeah, I think partly it's probably a continuity issue where he's new to this team, this organization, this totally new group of players, and he's still adapting to it. I think you mentioned the protection issues part. I feel like the fact that the Bears have so much trouble with basic stuff in terms of picking up stunts, just games. I think that's messing with him so hard. And I think, and again, I'm not in these rooms. I don't know, But I think there's an element of overthinking, like, man, I'll call this, but is this even going to work? Like, I can only call certain, I don't know if I can call these plays, or I don't know what to do because I don't know what is going to work. And again, this goes back to the point of then do the really basic stuff.
But this is to your point. Why are you running a speed option to the weak side of the field? Like, what are we doing?
No,
like
it is.
Like,
and see
that
that
is
is
a misfire.
And
like,
that again goes to the overall point of why are you trying so hard to outthink people? Why are you thinking so much?
I'm not trying to defend Shane
Waldron. I don't want to see even the best teams running shotgun runs on a 4th and 1.
Not defending Shane Waldron here, and you both are 100% right. That play, stupid, straight up stupid. I think part of the issue is, like, take what happened on 1st down there, which was still a cutesy play. You ran Wildcat.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have Darnell Wright, whatever that block attempt was, just whiff entirely on the defensive player who stopped a touchdown. That would have been a touchdown if Darnell Wright even puts a hand on him.
Yep.
It makes me wonder if he says, well, damn, I now can't trust my O-line. And kind of what you said, Tyler, like, what do I do?
Yeah, what do I call? And I think...
But you don't call speed option.
Yeah. Well, I think Mason,
especially to the short side of the field.
Yeah. Well, I think Mason, just to briefly try to briefly sum this up. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Is we have a tendency to pinpoint one play, like, oh, that play was horrible, or like that play was horrible. And it's like, oh, this had gone right, then we would have won. Or if like these like 3 plays, select 3 plays would have gone right, we would have won. Or conversely, it's like, man, if they had, if they'd screwed this up, they would have lost. When the reality is, it's often the plays we don't think about, the ones on 1st down, right? Or this one block that should have happened but didn't happen, or a guy being in the wrong place on a play that ends up seeming innocuous, but it all matters in the end, and it all contributes to the dysfunction. And I feel like it's hard to watch the Bears offense function and the way the play calls are coming in. And this guy that I think had a better feel for how to marry plays and how to build off of concepts that he ran earlier in the game, coming from that like kind of Shanahanian McVay-in system, and all of a sudden that's not there anymore. I just feel like, because he's like, well, I tried that earlier in the game and it didn't work, so what the hell am I supposed to do now? It's
a tough spot to be in. Danny, length is humorous. Something quirky or funny going into this week. What tickled your funny bone?
Funny in like why is it this way? Kind of touching on the running back situation again. Khalil Herbert's just our goal line back. That's what he's here for. What?
I don't get it.
This guy is your arguable best pure runner on the team. Like, and I've openly said I don't think his future is in Chicago. I think that ship has sailed. It's over with. He wasn't a part of the Poles plan going forward. But the idea that this guy is your goal line back, like he's Chris Ivory or something. like
he got 4 carries last week, and all 4 carries were at the goal line. Like all 4.
He's your best pure runner, and the metrics bear that out as of the first 3 years of his career as like a top 7 runner in the NFL.
Like, and if you look at him running too, like just watching the game, I keep saying this, but he is a runner that gets better over time. Like he stacks runs in a way where he needs the vibe in the field. He's not a guy that you just throw out on a play and say, all right, have fun. Oh, cool. I'll call you in another 20 plays.
He's like a thoroughbred horse. He has to work himself into a lather. That's how some of these running backs are. Same thing with like obviously no one's Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry was that same way. You couldn't just give Derrick Henry 3 carries and be like, all right, dude, sorry, you only got 9 yards. Try again.
Nope.
Gotta keep. And I get it. The guy nicknamed Juice seems to have lost some juice. Like, he's not as fast as he used to be, but he's still probably your best pure runner on the team, right? Like, just give him the football.
So stupid. Just to feed off that, because mine's also related to running. I might just need to rename this the DeAndre Swift Award, because I find it funny when you look at all the stats that currently show why he should not be anywhere near your number 1 back right now. He should be at best your 3rd down back, and maybe you split him out wide to do something funky. He ranks 88th in rushing yards after contact per attempt at 0.9. He ranks 80th in rushing yards before contact, also at 0.9. Now, you might say, Mason, rushing yards before contact, that might be your O-line issue. Your O-line might suck, which I do, whatever. Roschon Johnson ranks 32nd in rushing yards before contact at 2.3. So it's not just an O-line issue. DeAndre Swift has 0 broken tackles, tied for second in tackles for loss with 9. He has run for 1 first down. And last week I talked about his rushing yards over expected, which he was bottom of the league in at 60, whatever. Update, he's still last, but now with negative 83.
That seems bad. Kyrie,
This
can
is a
you weigh
bad
in?
time.
It's like that GIF, straight up not having a good time right now, bro.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the funny thing, right? Is that you go on like Pro Football Focus and you look at the grades. Like, yeah, Roschon Johnson is like the best graded runner on the team, and like next is like Rome, like one like end around or something he had or whatever. I think it was, but like, it's not that anybody on the Bears is running the ball particularly well, but it's literally because Roschon will be like, I'm just going to go straight and I'm just going to plow through you.
Just give me a 2nd and 7. That's all.
Yeah, it's like, just give us something. But I think the funniest thing I saw, honestly, was, I love watching, Baldy's breakdowns, in the aftermath of games. And he really does a good job of going, really throughout the league. And he pulls up the heinous play that we've already discussed on 4th and goal. And he's just like, that guy's on the ground. That guy's on the ground. That guy's on the ground. It's like kind of hard to do anything when all your offensive linemen are on the ground. But it's like the way that he says it, where he's just kind of like this confusion. Like, wait, why? What? Him, and him. Why is everyone on the ground? Like, I don't understand. He's just like, yeah, the play call, whatever. But can we get somebody to like be on their feet?
Did you see some of the photoshops that stemmed from that?
Oh my God, they're beautiful.
It was like, put them all in the Louvre, every last one of them.
All right. We are going to take another quick break here, and then we're going to dive even deeper into this matchup. We got that dog in us. And this is where Kyrie barks.
Yeah,
that's
all.
not a bark. It's the greatest time of the year again. Football is back, and it's here to stay till February.
I got the real dog in me.
He's more the dog the bounty hunter than dog the dog. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog. Signing up with Underdog is smooth and easy. I especially like using their mobile app, as it makes making picks easy as hell. Their gimme picks, example, you could take Dak Prescott tonight to have higher than 0.5 total yards, or Mahomes with the same this Sunday. Pretty sure they're both going to get over 0.5. Along with their built-in multipliers, make things interesting and pretty chill. I also love the variety they have compared to other betting sites and apps, such as their 4-person Battle Royale draft. Just pick players for this week and profit. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code CITY, CITY, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code CITY, to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, and present in states where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text Next Step to 53342. If in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. I know we're the Chicago podcast, but never know. Maybe you're in New York. All right.
Okay, Boston.
Yeah, exactly. You never know where everyone is. What you need to know about this matchup: Bears versus Rams.
No, not that.
I have no idea what that is. I just
Mason, you got too much time on your hands.
How much I've had to listen to that song for the last 4.5 years?
But
Just
Kyrie, are you a purple? Maybe you could be a purple monkey in a bubblegum tree.
Listen,
Those are words.
I've been so much stuff. Like, I come on, like
Oh,
you're
we've got
still
this-
new at this.
Oh
You're
my God!
still
There's
new at
this
this.
stupid cow that she has that sings. It's a soft and spotted cow. Hug it, love it all day long.
Listen,
It's on repeat in my house.
well, I'll say this real quick because I don't want to belabor this too much, but I'm happy that my daughter hates Coco Melon. She literally will
not be put on in my house.
No,
I
it's the worst.
refuse.
It zombifies these kids. It kills your brain cells. And she's like, yeah, they put it on at nap time today, and it hurt my brain because I don't like it. And I'm like, that's right.
That's my daughter.
Right. Get that up. No.
Just had to throw that out there one more time. The Rams-Bears rivalry has been played 96 times, including 2 postseason games, with the Los Angeles Rams winning 39 games and the Chicago Bears winning 54. They've also tied 3 times. Rams have won the last 3 games. The last one, 34-12 in 2021. This was Justin Fields' first game as a Bear. He was 2 for 2 at 10 yards, and Andy Dalton was the starter who did not throw a touchdown, but did throw an interception. Kyrie, can you name who led the Bears in receiving yards that game? 2021 Rams versus Bears.
Was it Mooney?
Nope.
It wasn't Allen Robinson. He wasn't doing nothing that game.
It was not. He had like 30 yards. It was not good.
Oh my God. Who was even wait. No, that's no way that's also right. Who was the dude who was it? No, it wasn't Marquise Goodwin. It was the other one, the other short, fast guy.
Demir Bird.
There we go.
It was Marquise Goodwin with 45 yards. Second was Komet, 5 catches for 42 yards. Danny, I have a trivia question for you too.
Oh boy.
Who was the Bears' backup running game at that time behind David Montgomery?
Backup running back, you mean?
The backup running game?
Oh, whatever. Running back, man. Yeah.
Running.
You have a separate running game?
Yeah, it's a sub team.
Well, maybe Chris Morgan does from the rest of the league. Backup running back in 2021. Well, Herbert would have been a rookie that year, but he would have third string.
Yeah, he wasn't really playing yet.
Yeah.
What random veteran did they have?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to. I know I'm going back in time now. Joik Bell was a Bear for a hot minute, but that's a little too late in his career.
Yeah, well, Garrett Wolf while we're at it.
Or Chester Taylor, you know. Damn. Okay, wait.
All right.
Khalil Bell. I don't.
No, it was Damian Williams.
Oh my God.
Remember the
That
hype
guy
on Damian Williams?
sucked as a Bear.
He had some hype. It was true because he was coming in off the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he had a good run with Kansas City, and he got here and
the
Bears dragged him down.
It was the Matt Nagy connection to he's bringing in his speed back from Kansas City. Like, oh boy, here he comes.
He's missed a bunch of games because of COVID protocol and stuff, and you're just like, yeah, great.
As we added this year, we're going to add a couple questions in this need to know, just some general thought processes about this matchup, this game, and just kind
general
of
thought process.
Yeah, general thought process here reporting. Danny, if Sean McVay wanted out and the Rams were willing to oblige, would you trade for Sean McVay?
What's the cost? Because if it's
it is the same cost, let's say, plus a little sweetener as the Sean Payton trade. So that would be
sure, why not?
Okay,
absolutely. Well, but I need assurances he's not going to the booth.
If you could guarantee he'd be there for 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean McVay matters.
If you could guarantee he'd be here for 5 years, oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be
absolutely. Yeah.
For context, the Saints sent Sean Payton and a 2024 third-round draft pick to Denver in exchange for the Broncos' 2023 first-round pick and a second-round pick that year.
Sure, absolutely.
You already got Caleb.
Yeah, I've already got the quarterback. I've got the receivers too. That's fine. Figure it out.
Khari, question for you. Are the Bears in trouble going forward if they cannot win the next 2 games? Based on ESPN's power rankings, they have the 4th most difficult strength of schedule remaining.
I feel like they need to win these games. It's not a must win, but that second half of the schedule is looking really unfortunate. I don't see a whole lot of it or any really easy wins in the back half of that thing. So if you lose, not great, but you got the Panthers, the Jaguars, and the Commanders coming up. Cardinals are better. They're better, but that's a winnable game. And you got the Patriots, another winnable game. And then it starts getting really hard. Vikings, Lions, 49ers, Vikings, Lions again, Seahawks, who are currently 3-0. The pack, like, it's not good. It's not good.
So I won't go. I kind of agree with Khari. I would go so far as saying you probably need to put this in the must-win category, though.
I would 7 out of 10.
Like, last week didn't matter as much because it was an AFC opponent. If you want to challenge for a wild card, which you should, like, I don't care what anyone says. You won 7 games last year without Caleb Williams and worse weapons in your receiving room. Remember, all that talking, the bluster about how this is the greatest supporting cast the number 1 pick has ever stepped foot into, it needs to start showing. Absolutely has to. These are conference opponents. You start stacking conference wins these next few weeks and maybe build yourself a cushion, starting with this weekend against the Rams, you need to win this game. Like,
All right.
I just last week really left a bad taste in my mouth because dude, that is a historical tracking bad run defense. And couldn't run the ball.
And Anthony Richardson couldn't throw the ball. Like, that was really
coming
horrible.
from someone. I'm the tool. I'm the Planet Theory guy. I'm the tools guy. Anthony Richardson might suck. That was a bad time, man.
He was awful. Like, I mean,
to come out at halftime and just chuck a pick. I mean, that was special.
So the way I would describe it is it's like a golfer who doesn't know what club to use for what range. He's just throwing the football. Like, it's like he has no idea what touch is or when to use just his arm as a missile, or like that the interception where he just floated a duck out there. It's like, dude, you might have the best arm in football. Why are you not ripping that thing?
Yeah, well, and then of course, at one point he did rip it, and you're just like, we talked about it coming into the game, Mason. It's just like, yeah, that's the one thing you can't let him do. And you're just like, and Alec Pierce is catching the ball 45 yards down the field. Why?
You mean Marcus Valdez-Scantling without melanin?
Last question.
Stop that.
I mean, Khari, I'm going to throw this to you just because Danny kind of actually touched on this already. How good is Matt Stafford?
Matthew Stafford's a Hall of Fame quarterback to me. I think that he has been underappreciated for a very long time. Like, those years, and it really astounded me when you think about it. Like, I would say he's a Hall of Fame quarterback in terms of his talent. He's still like 99 and 109 for his career. So like he still doesn't have a winning record as a starting quarterback. So obviously somebody can look at that and be like, well, you didn't win enough. Obviously you won a Super Bowl. So there's that. But like, you think about how rough that was for Matthew Stafford to deal with that in Detroit for how long and drag them kicking and screaming into the playoffs the couple of times that he was able to do. I mean, during that era, special stuff. And then obviously to go right to, LA with the Rams and then go win a Super Bowl. I mean, you watch his film every week, and he's 36 years old, and he's still out there making throws that guys half his age can't make.
It's funny, Danny, you brought up earlier where he ranks. I was talking to some people in the clinic, and I said I thought he was a top 5 quarterback, and people blustered and were like, how is he a top 5? I agree with you. Why would you say he is?
The level of difficulty of which he plays the position. He is willing to do things and take chances that one other guy in the league is willing to try. And it's because he can.
Aaron, we talking?
Pat.
Oh, Pat, yeah.
Yeah. Aaron maybe a few years ago would try some of those things.
But you're right.
But dude, Matt Stafford has got – I used it to describe Geno a couple years ago when he got his last chance in Seattle. This dude's an Old West outlaw. You can keep shooting him. He's going to keep coming, just slinging this thing the way he wants to.
Yeah.
It's awesome. There's a level of don't give a fuck that I truly appreciate, and he makes it work. At a certain point, dude, if you can yeet the ball all over the yard, and that's how you got to live, because that's literally how the Rams have to live to win football games.
I still remember, to that standpoint, it might have been his second year in the league where he did kind of like the Caleb throw, where he chucked it from like the right side of the field all the way to the left bar hash, but threw it on a line, like a literal clothesline, 40 yards down the field, and completes the pass. And I was just like, no, that's different. That's different.
That era of Lions football is like the ultimate nightmare for me as a fan. It's like you figure the quarterback out, but everything else sucks. It's like, well,
you figure the quarterback out and the wide receiver to the point where it's like, well, he down there somewhere, and you can't do anything about it except for invent a rule that robs him of a win because he
make him run over the middle against Lance Briggs and then get blown up.
Well, there's that.
There's that. All right. Love it, hate it, rehabilitate it. We pick a matchup, specific dynamic, something of that nature that we love for the Bears, one that we hate, and one that we would coach up if we were focusing on fixing something for this week. Danny, what do you love going into this game for the Bears?
I love the matchup of the defensive. I alluded to earlier the defensive line against the offensive line. This is I think I called them a glass cannon on one of our earlier shows this year, Mason, where it's like they're very fragile, but they're very explosive. But if anything starts to break, they can be had. Well, they've started to break, like substantially. There's no Puka. There's no Cooper Kupp. The offensive line is beat down. Here it is. The glass cannon became very glass very quickly.
Steve Avila's on IR. You have Joe Noteboom on IR. Just to name a couple of other individuals.
Yep. So there it is. Your defensive line, for as much as I was worried about it, it doesn't seem like my concerns were all that warranted. They've been playing well. Like throwing bodies at the problem has worked when you lack requisite great talent. So I really love the matchup of Billings and Sweat and Walker and all these guys that they can just throw at this line and just kind of make life hard for them because they want to run the football too. They want to. I don't know if they'll be able to.
Khari, what do you love?
You've kind of touched on it already. I love what Caleb Williams is doing so far. I love the way he's seeing the game. A couple throws that you want to have back, but I want him to just keep slinging the football because you see that it's there. It's mentally there. The arm is there. It'll get better. Just don't get discouraged. Keep throwing that thing. Also, if I can add an addendum to that, I love the way Rome was looking and the chemistry between the two of them as downfield options. I think Rome looks faster to me than he did in college. And I mean, I knew he was fast. Like I know he's got a track background and all of that. But that connection, I want to see a lot more of that.
And we really should. I'm excited for it. My love is the Bears secondary versus this Rams skill group. If you look at last week's win that the Rams had over the 49ers, the Rams' leading receivers were Tutu Atwell with 4 receptions on 5 targets for 93 yards. One of them was for 50 yards. Demarcus Robinson had 1 catch on 4 targets for 32 yards. Jordan Whittington was 3 for 3, 28 yards. The lone touchdown reception came from Kyron Williams, who also had 2 catches for 27 yards. The Rams are a running team with Kyron at 89 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns that game, and they get by with a couple of explosive plays. So this secondary should be able to, as long as they control the explosives, contain this receiving core that is just decimated after the Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua injuries.
But that's Tutu Atwell music for my Louisville Cardinal fans out there. Let's go.
You were the best of a bad situation, Tutu. Hates. Not even a matchup thing. I'm just going to go back. It's still the run game. I just hate this run game in general. It's not about against the Rams, but I mean, unless you get Roche on the ball more, create better angles for your offensive linemen to get the second level. Ask the offensive line to do what they do well. We already talked about this. If not, this run game is going to keep sucking. So I just hate it. I hate the entire complexion of it. Khari.
I mean, that's essentially it. So I'm going to make up something else.
You're allowed to just double down. We're an hour into this, so we can move ahead.
Hey, Mason. For the record, mine was the exact same as yours.
There we go.
I hate. I hate the offensive game plan. I hate the way that they have been so slow to adapt to getting just simply the best players on the field. Whether it's Cole Kmet not playing very much in the beginning, letting Nate Davis do whatever he's doing out there just because you paid him a certain amount of money, DeAndre Swift not being useful at all. Just, I'm done. I'm done with it. Okay, this is like that part's not rehabilitation necessarily. I mean, it's rehabilitation, but I hate the way that this team has been coached on the offensive side of the football so far. It's all bad.
Danny, what would you rehabilitate?
Kind of to piggyback off what Khari just said, it would be the offensive execution. It doesn't feel like they do anything right. The route concepts feel disjointed. They have people in the same places at times. They can't block anyone. Dude, they can't even pass off blocks to each other. Look at the it's easy to cherry pick the plays that stand out in your mind, but the passing off Mercedes Lewis did to Cole Kmet to end the game on Laiatu Latu. It's just wrong. You're pushing him the wrong way. You always want to make sorry. I don't want to frustrate myself. Like, these are little things you're taught. Like I don't even trust them to coach up duo right now. And that's like the literal first running play you're taught in Pop Warner. It's literally double team everybody. It's not hard. But everything feels like this.
Everything's hard.
Everything feels so goddamn hard. And you're relying on a 23-year-old kid or 22-year-old kid to basically come riding in on his horse and save the day. And that's not a fair expectation when everything we were told going into the season was how great the situation was.
I feel like that's a lesson to all of us. We really looked at it on paper and said, you know what? This is the best situation a rookie quarterback's ever come into on paper. This should be good. And I think we didn't expect it to go this badly in practice.
Now, to be fair, there also no one expected like the pumpkins that some of no one expected Tevin Jenkins to go looking like an elite guard to just awful. Tevin looks awful. It's okay to say. Darnell Wright's gone backwards. Like, this should not be happening.
You also can't account for things like DJ Moore running most of his routes as screens, go routes, and speed outs.
Yeah,
that's not something that I can
when you don't know what you're doing with DJ Moore, we have a problem.
He's one of the 12 most effective receivers in football, and you're just making him a deep threat or a speed guy.
A distraction, as DJ put it after the game.
Yeah, like, what in the world is happening here?
Okay. Now I'm annoyed. My rehabilitate. Courtney Cronin tweeted out one stat that she found notable while writing a story was that in 3 games with the Bears, Shane Waldron has had 9 plays inside the 5-yard line and called 6 runs. All 9 plays have been out of the shotgun. It's worth asking the question why the Bears didn't put Caleb under center. Funny enough, Shane was asked, "Why did you do this thing, sir?" And he said, "I think when you're in the shotgun in the low red zone there, you obviously present the option of the quarterback to run it right there. I know that when it comes down, everyone will want to talk about it and ask about it. The 4th down call right there where it didn't work out, we had some interior runs. I know for me, I can't look back at the past in that negative light. I got to look back on the past and live in the present. Be better for us, learn from it and improve there. But in terms of being in the gun versus being under center, finally answer, there's different styles. I know when you present the extra element because in the low red zone, defense has that extra hat down there. Quarterback in the gun presents that opportunity. You're not running with Justin Fields anymore. Yes, Caleb can move. Yeah, that's always an option. But you know what you could also do out of the shotgun if you want him to potentially run? You could throw the ball and then he can scramble. But you decide to run out of gun, which doesn't actually Anyway, my rehabilitate, if I'm going to simplify it, is if you're going to run, commit to running the damn ball. One thing I asked for last week was to go jumbo, put some big bodies down there. That connects to the whole DeAndre Carter blocking a defensive end thing. Just run the damn ball. If you can't impose yourself on that other team, then you don't deserve to be down there. And then you should just throw out of the gun if you're not going to commit to doing that.
What
Yeah,
I just
and if you want to talk about the
want
option
power
of running Caleb Williams, then run Caleb Williams.
Right. Has he had any designed runs? Like he's one, right? He's got the one
I
draw.
think he had one. I think he had one quarterback draw.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I don't know, then call it a little more. If that's really something you want to do, call it between the 20s.
That was the other thing I think we all overestimated as fans. Well, I personally took into account what the floor raiser that Justin Fields was on the run game. By his very existence, it's like Rudy Gobert on defense. Like, say what you want about Rudy Gobert in the NBA. When he's on your team, he's going to give you a top 5 defense because he's Rudy Gobert.
But can't you then also make the argument though that like part of the reason that Justin was a floor raiser, but also because they ran him and there's context?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because look, it's like the old Maserati, like, in the rundown, like, garage kind of thing. It's like no one is actually going to be afraid of the Maserati, and Justin Fields or Caleb Williams doesn't have that kind of juice, but he can run. He can run. No one's going to be afraid of that if you don't run the guy, right? So and again, I'm not saying this because I want Caleb Williams to have 8 design runs a game. I don't want that. But what I'm saying is if you are explicitly saying, oh yeah, I want to have the threat of Caleb Williams running in the red zone. Well, are we going to do it at some point so that a defense actually has to worry about it happening? Or is that just going to be some theoretical thing? Because if it's going to be purely theoretical, eventually defense is going to be like, show me.
Yeah.
Show me.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. All right, quick break here, and then we'll wrap up the show with some final categories. X Factor for the Rams. Danny, how can they win this?
Stafford goes nuclear. And McVay, and straight up McVay just outcoaches Eberflus, which I don't think is a stretch to say is probably likely to happen. At least one of those.
Eberflus is going to call 2 dumb timeouts and at least 1 dumb challenge. It's fine.
Oh, stop.
Khari, what is your X Factor?
If the Rams are able to run the ball decently, I've actually been a big fan of Kyron Williams. I'm originally a Notre Dame grad. I love the way that kid runs the football. I like the way he plays, the way he pass protects, the way he catches the ball in the backfield. If Kyron Williams and the running game are able to support Matthew Stafford so that it's not just Matthew Stafford against the world, then I think you have a problem.
My X Factor for the Rams, can they win the turnover battle? I say that because the Rams' offense has not been very explosive, nor have they been able to score much. They scored 20 in week 1, 10 in week 2 against a bad Cardinals defense, and a bit of a spark last week with 27, but most of that came in the second half, as they had 7 at halftime. We have a 4th host here, new to the pod, first time ever. Danny, why don't you make an introduction?
Well, this is my daughter, Pen. This is Penelope. She was a little upset, so I think it was time for Dad to go grab her. So I just wanted to say hi. I might have to mute her if she starts crying, but I'm here, and I will contribute still to end the show.
Yeah, I like the voice that you're doing. The inflection, it's great. The viewers or the listeners are going to love it. Why don't you just go right into X Factor for the Bears?
Hey, listen. No, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. X Factor for the Bears. Roschon Johnson, because if Roschon's cooking, that means the running game is cooking. And at a certain point, you can't have your rookie quarterback throwing 45, 50 times a game because you don't freaking win that way.
What do we say?
Right?
That way.
That way. Run straight ahead.
Khari, X Factor for the Bears.
Roma Dunze. Roma Dunze. Look, I mentioned this while Danny was off screen. His speed, his explosiveness, he looks faster than he did in college. He has emerged as the big play threat that Caleb Williams is looking for down the football field. You need explosive plays. Roma Dunze can do that for you.
My X Factor, don't get lost in the sauce. By that, I'm going to, again, borrow from Jordan Rodriguez, the writer at The Athletic for the Rams, because she does a fantastic job, and I think she put this well. The Rams are without their star receivers, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. They are playing their third left guard, who didn't even make the 53-man roster the first 2 years of his NFL career, and a rookie center. Right? Normally, McVay relies heavily on 11 personnel, but featured a lot of 12 personnel last week, despite only having 2 healthy tight ends. And there were no extra tackles to fill in case one of them got banged up. Of his healthy receivers, McVay moved rookie Jordan Whittington into a weird hybrid tight end fullback role, particularly in the run surface. When the Rams did shift back into 11 personnel, they mixed lots of layered concepts between ultra-fast Atwell, who had perhaps his most effective game as Ram, and veterans Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson. They substituted and rotated skill players more than usual because hurt as hell. McVay can stay in 11 personnel the whole game. To be clear, there was nothing wrong with this, and it was effective for them. Still, the Rams had not run a single snap of 12 personnel this season prior to Sunday. Again, I say all of that to wrap it back into don't get lost in the sauce. This team is beat to hell. They're trying to scramble, and McVay's trying to mad genius in a lab make this work. You should be able to beat this team because they're patching this together the best that they can. Stafford's a dude, McVay's a dude, but you have to be able to control the situation.
And Kyron Williams is awesome. I also will always hit. I'm sure some of the show knows I'm a Louisville Cardinal football fan in terms of Division I. I'm a Saluki fan because I went to SIU, but no one cares about them except for me. But Tutu Atwell's fun, and I think he's the only receiver in the league lighter than Xavier Worthy, which is straight up right there for Mason's hate, because Mason hates little receivers.
I hate little receivers that are going to get broken when you.
No, I don't think he's anything special, but I do enjoy that.
He's 165 pounds for those listening.
Yeah, he's tiny. He's a little itty bitty guy. Right, Ben.
Okay. Next we have our over unders. Khari, over under. Caleb Williams passing yards 225.
Damn.
What was that, Kyrie?
Kyrie says over. Danny, what do you have?
Man, it flies in the face of the Roschon Johnson thing. I'm going to say over, doesn't it?
You're going to get 227.
What do you think, Penny? Raise your hand if you think over.
She's saying under.
Under. We'll say under.
Matt Stafford passing yards, Danny, 1.5. Passing touchdowns, sorry. Touchdowns.
Over. They have to. Matthew Stafford has to throw the ball if they want to score.
Kyrie also is indicating over with his finger point to. Are those lemons on your? I don't know, in your background.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's with the ugly
yeah,
wall?
they are. Yeah, so the house that we bought, there's
was
this
owned by an
old here
woman
from before, and we just haven't torn it down because if we need this room for any reason.
Did you purchase this from white people in their 80s?
No, they were in their 40s, Danny. They were Mormons.
Oh, that explains it. Okay.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
All right, Kyrie, keep it rolling. DeAndre Swift rushing yards over under 25. Under, which is really tough. Danny.
Under. I think they're going to phase him out because they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Roschon Johnson rushing yards, Danny, over under 35.
Over. I'll even go bold on you. I'll go bold. He's going to come close to 100.
Holy Toledo. All right. Danny, Kyrie also indicated over. Kyrie, Rams sacks 2.5. Over. Danny.
So here's I'll say over, but because you mentioned the pressure numbers, they're not getting home yet. They also haven't played an offensive line this freaking awful yet. They're going to get home.
Yeah.
It's sad but true.
Danny, Bears turnovers created 1.5.
Ooh, this is interesting. Over. I think Stafford is prone to giving you the ball eventually, especially with how the cover 2 defense is designed, just death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of thing. We give you enough chances, you're eventually going to have to give us the football. So I think Stafford might give you one, and then something dumb like a muffed punt or something. Because if the Bears want to win, at this point, you're literally back in the old school Bears thought process of you need turnovers. You need to get the ball.
2006 Cardinals-esque stuff. Kyrie.
Right, Ben?
Under. Last one I have here for this category. interesting to maybe me only to pick them. Who's winning at halftime, the Rams or the Bears? Khari?
Probably the Rams.
Danny?
Bears. I'm trying to be positive, guys. We're so early in the season, and I feel like we're all just like circling the drain of, well, they might have a top 10 pick.
Danny, don't you dare claim to be positive. You spent the last hour and 16 minutes just trashing this team, just like all of us have. Come on. Get out of here. Bear gut check game predictions. We use our gut feelings, revitalized by kombucha, of course, to give our game predictions against the Lime. Rams at Bears. Bears favored by 3. Danny.
Bears win and cover.
Khari.
Yeah, Bears win and cover, yeah.
I just think this team is too beat up, and the 49ers did some weird stuff last week to lead to this comeback that the Rams put together. I'll take the Bears here, and it's going to be one of the last games that they're favored in, so let's just take it now. Cowboys at Giants. The Cowboys tonight are favored by 5.5. Khari.
The Giants are favored by 5.5.
No, the Cowboys are favored by 5.5.
Cowboys. Sorry,
that's insane.
Yeah, give me the Cowboys.
Danny.
Malik Neighbors' target numbers are insane, but that being said,
he's on pace for like 210 targets.
That's amazing.
Might as well.
That being said, I would like to point out first and foremost, I have vindication. I never really cared for Brian Daboll, the head coach in candidate, so this is just fun for me. Woo, yeah, weird flex on a Bears show. But yeah, Cowboys win and cover. But dude, this Cowboys thing is not good.
That defense is horrendous.
It's bad.
And the way they have to live on offense, it's like if Dak doesn't like do everything, they're not scoring.
I was in my pick'em league, and I was going to pick the Cowboys tonight for it, and I couldn't do it. I'm so scared that defense is going to like just let up, and the bad things will happen Thursday night.
Also, I will say I really enjoy Dak. Like I've always kind of not been a hater, but I've always given Dak a hard time because I don't think you're ever winning with Dak as your quarterback. But there's something I really enjoy about like he's the last of like a dying breed of quarterback where he's a true like pocket. I'm going to stay here and I'm just going to throw darts all night long, and it's a lot of fun. Like it's your last iterations of like the Phillip Rivers, Drew Breeses, Peyton Mannings, et cetera, of the world, because that kind of quarterback archetype just doesn't really exist or play anymore.
We could do a whole hour conversation on the differences in quarterback and how you're lacking that like 27 to 35-year-old, like just good. That's a whole thing for another show, but like I think it's just an interesting conversation of the state of the NFL right now. Khari, Bengals at Panthers. Bengals are favored by 4, even though they're 0-3.
This is gonna be the get right game for the for the Bengals. It's gonna be the get right game for the Bengals. They're not gonna go 0-4.
Danny.
We see this like every year with them.
Man, I said to my dad before the season came that we're going to be talking about that Joe Burrow contract in the same way we're talking about Watson's contract in a couple of years, because I just don't trust that body to hold up with how he plays. But yeah, this is a get right game. I think the Bengals turn it around, but I don't think it's going to be by some like Joe Shiesty is the returning to form thing. It's going to be more like they just won a game.
Yeah,
like
it's going to be like, man, that's the thing. I think the Panthers cover, but I don't.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. I think Panthers cover, but the Bengals win. That defense is awful.
Oh God, it's a. Sin.
Oh my God, dude! If Trey Hendrickson isn't doing everything, they're not stopping you.
What I need is the Bengals to lose the next like 4 games, and then just be like, we got to reset. We got to figure this out, and like somehow pulls. Give them a second. Give me Trey Hendrickson on this team. Vikings at Packers. Packers are favored by 2.5. Danny.
Vikings at Packers. Packers are favored by 2.5.
They are, and Jordan Love.
I'm going to say the Vikings win outright. I think Kevin O'Connell might be the real deal as a coach, and the guy who I think might be still one of my favorite head coaching candidates is Brian Flores, and the things he does on defense, especially now that he's got like the correct horses to be doing what he wants to do, is insanity. He's a mad scientist. For all the things people want to say about Steve Spagnuolo in Kansas City, the same things are all true, but better about Flores because he just has lesser talent. So, yeah, I will give it to the Vikings outright on the win, and obviously if they win, they cover.
Khari.
Give me the Vikings. I think this is going to be – I love what Malik Willis has done, but now he's going to go up against Brian Flores in the Mayhem defense, and it's going to be a problem.
Make a clean sweep, Vikings. Monday Night Football, Seahawks at Lions. Lions favored by 3.5, wearing their new black jerseys and blue that doesn't look like the real blue. Khari.
I think I'm taking the Seahawks.
Seahawks with the upset. Danny.
I'm going to – you know how I feel about Geno, Mason.
You love Geno.
Geno's my guy. So, yeah, Seahawks outright. I think some of the luster of the Jared Goff thing is starting to finally wear off a little bit, and Mike McDonald might be your favorite coach's favorite coach. That dude's awesome. So I really enjoy what they're doing up in Seattle so far.
I'll go Oppo. I'll say Lions and cover. I think Amon-Ra is going to come out a little different in this next game. That's just kind of the dude he is. And this Lions run game, real solid. Aiden Hutchinson's having a good year. Get after Geno a little bit. Coccyx and Bull story. Bold predictions. Off of something Danny said, actually. Bears rush as a team for over 100 yards. That's fine.
Hey.
Khari, what's your bold prediction?
Sorry, I got distracted by our girl over here. My bold prediction is, Roshan Johnson, 2 tuds.
All right, Danny.
Bold prediction, I already said. I think Roshan approaches the 100-yard mark. I say, I'll give you the number, 87. He'll run like it for 87 yards. I don't know why that's the number I'm going with, but I'm going for it. Oh, it's okay, Penelope.
Offensive player of the game, I have Cole Kmet. Catch machine, I think he does something similar to last week where he catches a lot of his targets. Gets a lot of targets. Khari.
Roshan Johnson.
Roshan Johnson and Danny, I assume Roshan Johnson?
We're rolling with Roshan. We're roll-shining.
But if I had that ready, I would have done it. Defensive player of the game, Khari.
Give me Tyreek Stevenson.
Okay.
Defensive player of the game.
It's like he's gonna get picked on, and then he's just gonna come up with an interception at some point.
Yeah, I will say for me, the defensive player of the game. I know I rag on him, but Tremaine Edmonds, I think, is going to have himself a day.
Okay.
I can't stand the way he's a very passive linebacker. I get his job, and he does his job well. He's enormous. He's athletic. He takes up the back third very well. But I think he's in for a big day. I don't know why.
I'm going to go with Darrell Taylor. He currently ranks tied for 4th in the NFL in pass rush win rates. 10 wins on 33 pass rushes, good for 30%. The problem is he's only gotten 33 pass rushes. I would like him to get more. The 4 that are above him, for context, Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson. That's some pretty good company to be in. Obviously, Montez Sweat being the focus. I just think that that's where the Rams will focus on trying to stop. I can see Darrell Taylor getting 2 sacks and maybe a very timely strip sack. That would be lovely. But that's whose mine is. We are going to skip King of the North because the Bears don't deserve it. When they win again, we can do this category. But until then, we are putting that on the back burner. Any final thoughts, y'all, before we get out of here?
Are we allowed to touch on like the big news in our fair city today? You're kind of donning his apparel, Mason.
Oh, I mean, yeah, go for it.
Seeing Derrick Rose retire is a really weird feeling. He was drafted when I was 17 going on 18. What he meant to this city, I think we're in this city, we're never going to be able to have a fair conversation about him because we value him in a way because he's ours, right? From Southside Chicago in Inglewood, local kid, literally made good. He won an MVP for the team he grew up rooting for. So I just want to take a moment to appreciate just how kind of amazing that is. Even if I think those Rose and Noah teams were never going to win anything, it was still a great moment in Bear Bulls fandom to have that kid doing what he did for this city, being of this city, and cut from the cloth of this city. So,
I almost think I wouldn't even say those Rose Noah teams never would have won anything if he had stayed healthy. And I say that knowing obviously what they were going up against in Miami, and we both have an appreciation for, the guy who's going to end up being the second greatest player of all time. But I mean, that season was the most fun I've ever had watching basketball. And I mean, I watched the last 3 years of Jordan. I was old enough to remember it. I was old enough to remember staying up for the finals, like way past bedtime. I remember all that, but I was young, so I didn't quite
appreciate.
Yeah, I couldn't appreciate it the same way I could when I was in college, and that's literally every game that was possible on WGN or Comcast in my dorm house, right? We had cable upstairs and downstairs. Every time it was possible, I was taking over the common room and putting Derrick Rose on the TV. That was an absolutely special time in life, getting to watch that dude play at the height of his powers. And I still remember where I was when he got hurt. I was playing in an ultimate Frisbee tournament, actually. And like, I hadn't checked my phone. And I go to my phone and I see Derrick Rose injured. I'm like, no! It's like I felt a dark cloud like over me during this rainy, wet.
I remember exactly where I was too.
But I was
at the Carbondale Buffalo Wild Wings watching on the big screen.
Oh my God. I just want to say though, that like the fact that happened and he played 11 more seasons in the NBA after that injury, he lost his prime.
I'm wrapping it up right now.
He never got it back, but it speaks a ton to the resilience of that guy to do what he did, to play 11 more seasons after that. He never gave up. He kept plugging away. And I think even now, he is an icon of basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I was not old enough to appreciate Michael Jordan. I mean, I was born in 1991, so I mean, I was 5, at best, and it just wasn't in my realm. But to have someone, like you said, from Inglewood, homegrown, how important that is, not just for the culture that is Chicago as a whole, but also the culture that is, that part of Chicago, to know that you can make it. I mean, that's huge. To the way that he played the game, changed the game. I mean, people forget, right, that this is the time when Russell Westbrook, now you have these explosive point guards that weren't just distributing. It wasn't just the Rajon Rondos of the world. I mean, I crafted my game after that in the best I could as a 5'8" guy who couldn't dunk. The way that the floaters he could hit, the contortion that he had in the air, that changed. And for me, I tore my ACL in the same timeline he did. I actually got my surgery in the surgical suites right next to him. So my comeback was the same as his comeback, and the motivation he had right before his MVP season. Why can't I be MVP of the league? I can't tell you how many times that would play before workouts I had, before wrestling tournaments I was in. And then the return. I mean, that was close. That hit home for me, trying to come back and because I define myself as an athlete, and to have that taken away from you and try to reclaim that. And the way that he changed his game, what he did with the Timberwolves, what he did with these other teams, it's hard. That is hard to change who you are as a player, and to still be as good as he was, right? That game he had where, I mean, how many points did he drop in that one game?
50.
It was 50 points.
50. He was 9 of, I think he was 9 of 13 from the field and 8 of 11 from the line.
Absolutely insane. So, obviously, we can argue till we're blue in the face about if they ever would win a championship and get past that vaunted, Miami Heat team. We'll never know. But at a minimum, we can say that the impact he had on Chicago in that time is something that it will never be should never be downplayed. So, Derrick, I wish at some point I could tell him that, how much he meant to me and how much I love him as an athlete and how much I respect him as an athlete.
I got to be in a room with Derrick Rose once. When he actually came to University of Chicago for this Battle of the Bands that we were having. It's like this summer fest thing. And it got rained out. So he actually went indoors to one of the, the arenas, like one of the big, Coliseum areas that we had. And Wale was performing, and Wale and Derrick Rose are tight, so you brought him out on the stage. And Wale's like, this dude don't like to talk, and Derrick Rose is like, yeah, what's up, everybody? And the crowd is going just absolutely insane.
Unapologetically always himself.
Absolutely freaking insane. And then the next day they go out and win game 1 against Miami. It was them.
Well, I mean, I guess we could put a bow on it. To quote Fall Out Boy, thanks for the memories, Derek.
That's all we got. Make sure check out Khari's show. I went the wrong way to the Danny. Khari's show, right? That he does Bears over Beers. That's on Wednesdays. Make sure you check out this Sunday. I'll be doing the Wear and Tear Bears post game show. That's always with a rotating co-host, where we're going to talk about the game live reaction, whether good or bad. And then, of course, we're going to continue to preview this show. Do the previews every single week. We still got to figure out what's happening in the bye week. That will be just Khari and Danny if that happens, because I'll be in Disney actually. Yay! So Disney. All right, that's it, everyone. Enjoy this week. Enjoy the game. Love you, Derek. Bear down.